Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make Eton mess. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I'm really excited to be sharing this Eton mess recipe with you. If you haven't heard of an Eton mess before, I'm guessing you're probably American like I am, because I had not heard of this dessert until about a year ago. It's a popular English dessert, and it's very similar to a trifle, I would say, and it has three main components. I think you're going to love it. It's a great spring or summer dessert, very light, very refreshing. Now the first component I want to talk about is meringues. You are going to need a batch of my meringue cookies for this recipe. You could buy pre-made meringue shells, that would be fine as well, but I really encourage you to go over to my blog post and watch my video on how to make meringues and make yourself a batch of homemade meringues. Now we're going to come back to those meringues in just a minute, but I wanted to tell you about them first because if you're making them from scratch, they do require a little bit of time. They're not really hard to make, but you need to make them about 3 hours in advance of using them because they take a lot of time in the oven. So we're going to set those aside and we'll come back to them. And now let's move on to our next ingredient, which is berries. We're going to be using strawberries today, and you're going to need 2 pounds of quartered strawberries. I have quartered mine. If your strawberries are pretty big, you can cut them into smaller pieces. You basically want the pieces to be bite-sized. Not all Eton mess recipes cook down the berries like I'm going to be showing you today. A lot of them just simply macerate the berries by sprinkling them with a little bit of sugar, and then that's what they use as their berry layer. That's fine if that's what you would like to do, but I like to just amplify the flavor. I like to make the dessert a little bit more decadent because I can't help myself. It's just the way that I am. So it's up to you which method you want to use, but I highly recommend you at least try it the way I'm showing you today. So we're going to take 2 cups of these berries and we're going to add them to a medium-sized saucepan. The rest of the strawberries are going to be added later. For now, we're just going to leave them aside. Now, along with the strawberries, we're going to be adding 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar. All of the components of Eton mess are pretty sweet on their own, but you do want to use a little bit of sugar to help draw out those juices from the strawberries. And we'll add 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and a tablespoon of lemon juice. Turn your stovetop heat to medium, and we're just going to cook these berries, stirring pretty constantly until the juices are released. Once that happens, we're going to cook a little bit longer until the mixture starts to bubble and thicken just a bit. This method of cooking down some of the berries is especially nice if you don't have fresh picked ripe strawberries. As you can probably tell, my strawberries came from the supermarket. They're not really in season just yet, so this step just really helps to bring out the flavor. This is looking pretty much perfect, so at this point you can turn off your stovetop heat and we are going to add the rest of our berries. And because we can't use this strawberry sauce mixture until it is cooled completely, I'm going to pour everything into a separate heat-proof container. It's just going to help speed up the cooling down process a little bit by taking it out of that saucepan. While our strawberries are cooling, let's move on with the rest of our recipe. Now we're going to take these beautiful meringues and we are going to smash them up. I'm going to be putting them in a large Ziploc bag. If you'd like, you can reserve a few of the meringues, since they are so nice and pretty, to place on top of the Eton mess, but that's purely for show. Now you want to break up these meringues, but you don't want to totally pulverize them so that all you have is meringue dust. You want to have discernible pieces because when we combine everything together, a big draw of the Eton mess is that flavor, that texture difference when you bite into a little bit of that crunchy meringue. See, that actually did a pretty good job. I don't want to go too much further or I'm going to end up with meringue dust, so I'm just going to use my hands to break up these couple that I can still see. Kind of fun. It's kind of like popping bubbles in bubble wrap. Okay, 2 parts down. The last thing we need to do is make homemade whipped cream. Do not, under any circumstances, skip this step and use Cool Whip. I would be so disappointed in you if you missed out on the taste of fresh homemade whipped cream. Don't worry, it's really easy to make. You're going to need a large bowl, because this is kind of like a medium large bowl, but it will work. And to that bowl, we are going to be adding 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. I'm also going to be adding 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, because technically I'm making chantilly cream if you want to be super technical, because my whipped cream is slightly sweetened. I'm also going to be adding a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now grab an electric mixer or use your stand mixer, or do it by hand if you want a workout, and we are going to whip this cream until we get stiff peaks. You'll know you're finished because the cream will be thickened in volume, it'll be thick, it'll be fluffy, it'll be similar in consistency to Cool Whip, but it's gonna taste so much better. All right, this is what it's supposed to look like. Thick, billowy, beautiful. I'm probably wearing a lot of it and hopefully I don't have too much in my hair, but we're going to continue. So once your whipped cream has been made, you're going to want to grab those meringue cookies that you crushed. We're going to add about 3/4 of them, or 2/3 to 3/4 of them in with our whipped cream. You can just eyeball this. It's like, was I even thinking when I picked this bowl? I don't know. Once you add your meringue, we're going to fold the whipped cream and the meringue cookies, broken cookies, together. You know what? I'm gonna find a way to blame this one on Zach. All right, all that's left now is the assembly. You're going to want to grab your trifle glass. I'm just using these cute glasses that looks like I got whipped cream all over. And I'm going to start by putting a little bit of our whipped cream and meringue mixture into the bottom of the glass. Next, I'll take some of our reserved meringue cookies and just sprinkle that over the whipped cream. The reason I like to do both is because the meringue cookies that are in the whipped cream are going to start to soften and dissolve. I like to have a little bit of plain cookie crumbles on top because it adds a nice textural crunch. Next, we'll add some of our strawberries. Just wish I could have gotten my hands on some riper berries. That would make it all the much better. And we will repeat with a little bit more whipped cream and meringue. And that is how you make an Eton mess at home from scratch. I hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe. I think this will be one of your favorite springtime, summertime desserts, just like it is mine. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's my favorite.